All right, guys. Hey, my name is Asia. I was gonna say license. You don't need a license to commission. I am a mobile notary. I've been a commission mobile notary since 20. God, I cannot talk today. Okay, anywho, again, my name is Asia. I am a mobile notary. I have been a mobile notary since 2016, and welcome to my space. I built this platform, or I'm building this platform, in hopes to have a community of notaries that I can hopefully work with. I am 2 months into my signing service. It's been going. It's been going. So I have no complaints. It's been going pretty good. Uh, it's been going. So let's just keep it at that. But last week I had two appointments that went left. And these are appointments that I personally did. I wanted to give a backstory on them, and I wanted to share a document that I used for one of them. But I kind of left the document in my car. I really didn't even. Anywho, so we'll bring up the document later in a separate video. But just a little backstory and a trigger warning. This is an appointment regarding notary safety. I know that there is a lot of concern about whether or not it's safe to go to appointments. And I'm gonna say, well, I'll save my opinion for the end of the video. But I will give you a little bit of a backstory onto one of the appointments, and then I'll kind of briefly gloss over the second appointment. I almost didn't want to share because I live in Texas. We're still talking about the incident that happened in Uvalde, and all this kind of occurred literally the same day or two, or within the same 2 days that occurred. So it's a lot of emotions already going on between that, and the last thing I want to do is bring up another negative or negative energy or something within the space. But I also feel it's important to talk about it because I feel that some notaries are a little concerned on their safety for appointments, and my overall opinion is no. If you feel like if you're too scared to go to somebody's house to do an appointment, this probably isn't for you. And after I share my experience that I had, and we'll kind of talk about some other experiences that are just very hostile appointments because they are going to happen, and how I feel and stand today, I still stand by that. If you are too scared to go to people's house to complete these appointments, this probably really isn't for you, and that's fine. Not everything is for everybody. But the first story time entails. It starts last week, maybe Tuesday or Wednesday. I don't remember the exact day. I think it was Tuesday. I was asked to drive out to Conroe to complete an appointment. Very last minute. I think I was called maybe around 12:30, 1 o'clock. I called the guy about 1 o'clock and I asked him, hey, I've been asked to set up a time with you. When are you available? The man told me on the phone, I'm home all day. I'm available all day. You can come anytime. I was like, okay, well, I live, quite a bit away from you. In reference, Conroe is about an hour, maybe an hour and a half with traffic, depending on what time of day you go. It's about an hour drive. So I wanted to get there early because I wanted to avoid traffic. I did want to send it through my signing service, but I recognized the address and remember that the client asked me to do it personally. I think she kind of knew what, anywho, she probably knew that I can handle it, but also that this particular signer did not have a valid ID. So because they did not have a valid ID, it was going to require a form that I've used before with approval from the title company and an attorney. Let me add that too, because I know some people will put in their 2 cents where it's not wanted. That I'm signing this person. This person does not have, she has an expired ID. With this expired ID, I have 2 witnesses that are going to vouch for this person that is signing this document. So technically, I'm not notarizing the signer, I'm notarizing the witness. Notarizing? I don't even know if that's right. Anywho, well, long story short, the client knew that I would be comfortable doing it, so I had to do it. I couldn't even use my signing service to do it. I had to personally do it myself. So when I called the guy about 1 o'clock, I told him, hey, I'm just waiting for your documents. I just need to make sure I have everything that I need on my end. And once I have that, I'll head out to you. I'll give you a call and let you know I'm about an hour, maybe an hour, 15 minutes to an hour and a half away. I'll call you when I leave so that way you'll know when I'm on my way. We never set a direct time. So the title company sent me documents. I'm going through the form to make sure I have my emails or that they sent me, and all the documents I have to make sure I have everything that I need to do this appointment correctly. I got all my documents and paperwork together. I give them a call and let them know that I'll be there between 3:30 and 4 o'clock. Because remember, 1 o'clock, 3:30 to 4 o'clock. So he said that's fine. He asked me, "Are you bringing a check?" And I'm like, "No, I don't have any money. Like, I don't bring money with me on these transactions. I'm just bringing your documents. You're just gonna sign them, and when I take them to the title company will give you a check, but I don't have any money." And so I already kind of knew this was gonna be one of those appointments, and I wanted to record it, and we'll get to why I didn't record it as well. So I get to the house, and I'm walking out the door, and I'm getting in my car, and the escrow officer calls me, and she's like, "Hey, can you try to get there ASAP so we can try to fund at least by 4 o'clock?" And I told her, I said, "Well, I'll probably be there between 3:30 and 4. If I can get there a little bit beforehand, I'll call you." And she said, "Okay, well, if you get there before 4 o'clock, have them sign the deed and their disbursement, scan that to me, and we'll try to get it funded as soon as we get the rest of your documents." No problem. So I'm driving there. It's raining. So I'm driving an hour and a half in the rain. And I get there when I said I would. I got there at 4 o'clock. I originally told the guy I would be there anywhere between 3:30 and 4 o'clock. I got there and I was welcomed with so much hostility. And I didn't know why at first. So when I come in the house, and I'll just paint a picture. Conroe, Texas is two parts. It's a little rural, but then there's also a part where they're doing a lot of redeveloping or new development. It's not even redevelopment because there's nothing to redevelop. It's all new. So it's just one of those towns that they're building. That's about an hour away from where I live in Houston. And so I ended up on the rural side of it. So I already don't like going to rural places to begin with. I don't care what time of day is. I'm never comfortable in rural spots just because it's unknown. There's nobody really around. If anything happens, I'm already uncomfortable in those environments. And so I get to the house. There's no polite way to say it. It's like a meth house meets crack house meets trap house meets dope house meets hoarder home meets squatter environment. It is like, whoa, what the fuck? Oh, sorry. Like, what happened in here? It's your typical investor property. This is an investor property gold mine because it's just disgusting. I didn't want to touch anything. I was so grateful that I wore closed-toed shoes. As a matter of fact, I only had on closed-toed shoes because it was raining. So had it not been raining, I would have had open-toed shoes on and been having many heart attacks, like miniature heart attacks, like in that. It was just gross. The house was. You would be surprised how people live sometimes when you go into these homes, especially on the investor side of real estate. I saw it too when I did an EMT program. I went to school. I had thoughts of becoming a paramedic at one point, and on the EMS rotation, we went into people's homes, especially like in lower income communities. You would be surprised how people really live. So it was very nasty. It was just really disgusting. And it's no knock to no low income. I'm just saying, like, a certain demographic of people live a certain type of way, and That's just what it is. It's not a knock on anybody or anywhere. I don't care where you come from. That because I know people will try to say something about that as well. But anywho, back to the story. Or I just want to paint a picture of how nasty the home was, like the environment of the home itself. It was just gross, and so it was just ugh. So I'm just praying that I don't touch anything. I didn't even want to put my papers down on the table. I had nowhere to put my stuff. Like I carry like a little Rubbermaid box for when it's raining, so that way I don't get my documents wet. Well, I cracked that box, so I've been carrying a bag, and I just wanted them to sign the paper and put the paper back in my bag, but I couldn't really do that because that wasn't practical. So I had to put my stuff on their table, and their table, I mean, my documents got dirty. It was just there was no other way. So the house was nasty. So anywho, I'm just painting a picture of how gross this house was, which is why I didn't record, even though I really wanted to. But I don't like to. I kind of want to protect the integrity of people a little bit. I don't want to go into somebody's home, inside of somebody's home. Outside is fair game, but I don't want to go into on the inside of somebody's home and post, stuff on it, and their face could be shown, and then come back and say how gross it was. That's just very rude and impolite. So, but just bottom line, house was just disgusting. It was just nasty. So I'm just trying to hurry up and get this done so we can be in and out. So back to the story. So I get there and I met with hostility because I got there at 4 o'clock. Remember, I told the guy I would be there from 3:30 to 4 o'clock because I live an hour and a half away and it was raining. So when I get there, they're like, "Is this going to be able to fund?" And I'm like, "Okay, well, let's sign the deed and let's sign the disbursement form. I'll send it to the escrow officer, and that's all I can do. Like that's all I can do." And so when I sent it, she's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, it's too late. It's not going to fund today." And immediately, and I do mean immediately, the daughter, they had an older daughter, an older son, and a husband and wife. The daughter had to be about 50. I think her driver's license says she was born in 1970, so that's about 50 or so. And same thing with the son, like 2 or 3 years younger or older, I don't remember, but they were very close in age. And then the parents were, much older, understandably. But the daughter, she just loses her shit. She's like, "So we're not going to get our money today?" And I'm like, "I'm sorry." She told me, try to get here before 4 o'clock. I told him I would get here between 3:30 and 4. That's just what I can do. Like, I sent it to her, and she's saying that she won't be able to do it until tomorrow. And so she just, "Well, if we're not going to get our money to me, that means we can't pay our light bill." And I'm like, "Oh, like I'm sorry, but again, that's what I can do." And so she's over here, throwing body language and voice, and then this little old lady was sitting there asking, she's like, "So does that mean we're gonna just sit in the dark?" And the daughter's like, "Yeah, that means we're gonna sit in the dark because somebody didn't get here in enough time so we can pay our light bill." And I'm like, "Well, I think she means me, but that ain't got nothing to do with that, so I'm just gonna ignore it and keep going." And so we're signing papers or whatever. And the husband, which is the older lady's, or the lady who was making all the commotion, that's her father or father-in-law. I really don't know. I just knew somehow she was a daughter. So I don't know if she was married into the family or if because she had a different last name. So I don't know if she was like married into the family or if she, was signing with her married name. I'm not sure. So the husband or the guy that was selling the home, he's signing the paperwork, and they're consistently making these condescending and snide comments like, "Well, she had got here 10 minutes sooner, and we don't have lights tonight, and it's all her fault." And I mean, just over and over and over again. And I'm letting it slide. I'm letting it go because they never just said me, but I knew they were talking about me. And I've done a lot of appointments. I've even done a lot of appointments with hostile signers. So them having an attitude or being mad actually didn't bother me. Like I've been there before, been there, done that. Like, you won't be the first hostile person I've ever dealt with. But for the first time, it was a little uncomfortable. And only because it was like in such a rural area, I think that's where I felt a little borderline of that fine line of like a hostile environment versus a threatening environment. Um, Not once did I ever think they would do anything to me, but it just felt uncomfortable, like just very, very uncomfortable. And it's usually hard for me to be uncomfortable. So maybe after the fifth or sixth snide comment, because remember, they're making these comments throughout the signing of the rest of the documents, he goes on to say, or let me backtrack, I'm sorry. I don't really tell stories well, so just work with me. The little old lady keeps asking about these lights. I think she may have been senile or something, but she keeps asking, like, so are we going to get the lights cut on? And every time she would ask that, either the daughter or the husband or her husband would answer. Um, the daughter would answer like very kind of like violent with like attitude and like throwing her body around and loud and emotional, and the husband or the little old lady's husband would answer, but it would be really condescending and very kind of like rude. And so at one point, maybe about the fifth or sixth time that he does it, he says thanks to her, i.e. me. No, honey, we're going to be sitting in the lights, you can thank her for that. And at this time, I it's been about 5 or 6 times, and I told him, you're welcome. And he said, excuse me. And then the daughter turns around and she's like, what did she say? And I said, you're welcome. You're welcome that I drove an hour and a half in the rain to come help you facilitate this closing. Last minute, you were not on my schedule. And from 1 o'clock to 4 o'clock, I'm sorry. You may not understand that, but to me, that is a very good turnaround for me to stop what I'm doing and come help you. And I did this in the rain, an hour and a half away from where I live. I don't travel out that far. And that kind of stopped him in his tracks. The daughter got all huffy and puffy again and went outside. And so they kind of settled down a little bit. And the husband said something one more time. And at that time, I just kind of was like, look, sir, I think you and I need to kind of clear the air here, because I don't think you understand how this works or what's going on. And so I had to politely explain to him again, you were not on my schedule to close today. The title company called me between 12:30 and 1 o'clock, maybe like 12:45. I called you at 1 o'clock. We set a time. We did not set a time, I'm sorry. When I spoke to you, you told me you're home all day. Come anytime. I got here by 4 o'clock. That is a 3-hour turnaround. I think that's pretty well, considering you were not on my schedule. It's raining and you live an hour and a half away. So he rebuffs and says, well, when I told you that, I didn't know that our lights were going to be cut off. That's fair. Like, I get it. Like, I empathize with you. I really do. And I'm sorry that y'all are going to have to sit here in the dark for the time being, but there's solutions that, like, you don't have to be mad at me because your lights are off. Like, that's not my fault. And I stood by that. Like, I'm so sorry that you're going through that, but that's not my fault. Like, you cannot be upset with me about that. Like, you're selling your house, you're about to get a whole $30,000-$40,000 off the top of selling your house. I'm not getting a $30,000-$40,000 check for anything. So I don't know, just people's perception of things are different. But after I kind of talked to him about that, just like, you and I need to kind of clear this air, because you're not going to keep making snide comments at me in order for me to get through this appointment. I really want to just get this done and then go home. Like, at this point, I just want to go home. So I get in my car, try to hurry up and get this done, and like, out of the way. I let the title company know what happened. They told me the similar things that they kind of went through. I actually called the client to say, hey, I don't know, maybe if y'all can help them, the salesperson involved with this transaction, but it seems like their file isn't going to fund today, and they were looking forward to that money so that way they could pay their light bill. Is there something that y'all can do, for them? Well, unfortunately, the client had already paid their water bill, so they were kind of like their hands are tied. Like we've already helped them once. There's nothing else that we're willing to do. So, I mean, again, I tried. I really did, even after the fact, but that's neither here or there. So when I'm telling the title company what happened, they were, kind of telling me what they were going through with the couple, with the family as well. I say couple. It was really the son and it was really the daughter and her father. So they were just kind of because they were the two most vocal ones in the transaction. So what they were going through with the family as well. The daughter felt like she was so comfortable to tell the title company that she was about to snatch the braids out of my hair. I mean, I laugh about it now, but I honestly did feel an air of, like I said, a very thin line of being just them being hostile and then me being uncomfortable and then them being like somewhat threatening to where it was like, let me hurry up and get up out of here. Like I just get out. Now, do I think she would have touched me? I just no, absolutely not. Just the emotional intelligence part of my brain says, hey, I am the connecting piece between you and your $30,000 that you're going to get to sell this property. If you so much breathe on me, you may not get this money. So, no, they weren't going to touch me. But did I feel uncomfortable? Yeah, definitely. Did I feel threatened? Yes, definitely. Did I think they were going to do anything to me? No. Would I go back to do it again? No, not for that family. Not because their attitude, but because the house was gross. Like I would never go anywhere near that property again because it was just that disgusting. Like it was just gross. So I stand by I say all this to say this. Like I share my story to say, yes, there are going to be times where you go to appointments and they're not like everybody's smiling, laughing, joking, and having a good time. Most of those appointments are going to be that way. Like you're going to love most of these appointments. Most of these people are like just everyday regular people. This family was not an everyday regular family. Like just the house was not an everyday regular house. The type of people that I went to, the type of people that signed those documents or the family were not an everyday normal family. Like if I saw them on the street, I would think, I would, they looked a little sketchy. So, you just have to kind of keep that in mind and just know that that's not going to be the norm. That is a extremely isolated incident. And just know they have enough common sense not to let anything happen to you because at the end of the day, they just want their money. And they know that you are that piece to getting their money. So, that part of my brain knew like I don't ever have to feel threatened or anything like that. So when I see notaries post questions like, what do they do when they don't feel comfortable going to somebody's home? Don't go. Like I'm not being funny about it. I know it sounds like I'm being mean or weird, but this really is not for everybody, and that's okay. Most people don't want to go to those homes. I can't think. I'm only thinking what's going to happen the time that I do send a notary to an investor property, and that investor property is highly disgusting. Like I've been to so many gross properties, and the only reason why we could not do it outside is because it was raining. So we couldn't like there was no way to do it outside. It was raining. So I again, if you're one of those people who are concerned about your safety and feel that you may have to like have people meet you in a public place in order to do this once or twice, something like that, yeah, that's fine. I get it. Hey, can we do this in the driveway? Driveway don't look safe. Hey, can we go to the gas station up the street, the McDonald's up the street, the Starbucks, Whataburger, whatever up the street? That's understandable. But that shouldn't be your everyday thought process with every appointment that you're going to set yourself up to go to. Another thing that I saw on Facebook groups that I think it's really, really weird is people talk about, and first of all, I live in Texas. So Texas is very right to carry friendly. Like people can't live without bringing their, I know this is YouTube, so you can't say certain words, but people are excited about carrying in Starbucks. I mean, to me, that's super weird. And I'm all for responsible ownership, but I don't think everybody is responsible. And so when I see notaries posting questions like, well, maybe I should just keep something with me in my bag, to me, that is the absolute wrong way to think about this. I would never advocate bringing anything into anybody's home that can accidentally hurt somebody or purposely hurt somebody. Just remember with those type of ownerships, it it carries heavy consequences if something goes wrong. So I never think these appointments are that sketchy or that dangerous or that uncomfortable because I'm going to a stranger's home that I need to bring something with me to for my safety. You know, mace is one thing. And even mace, I still kind of I wouldn't bring that or I wouldn't have it out in the open because again, you know, you don't want um, you don't want that. You don't want a kid or a dog or something to get into that. Like let's say it falls off your keychain on the floor and a dog. You know, just little things that can happen. So just personal protection items. Yes, that's the word I was trying to say without saying. So personal protection items. Yes, I understand people are um, very adamant about doing that. I just feel like that is the wrong way to go about it coming into these appointments. The risk on this is very, very low. You will have a few appointments where people are hostile, yes. This was probably the first appointment since 2016 where I ever felt threatened. So just kind of keep that in mind. And I still go to appointments to this day. Like I've been to 4 appointments so far this week. Like it's not a big deal. Like just walk in, walk out. Somebody knows where you are at all times, and that's how you have to kind of look at it. It's not this is not the Wild Wild West. So that was the first incident. The second incident where it went left, that was a whole different scenario, a whole different situation. And I will take part of the blame in that because it may have been me. It may have been something I never really thought about how it may bother other signers. So everybody knows that I have a small child. I sometimes take my child to appointments. That's just something I have to do. It's not something I want to do. It's not ideal. It's just something I have to do. My kid is a pretty quiet kid. He's pretty, you know, calm or whatever, but we did just take his pacifier away. So because we took his pacifier away, I didn't think that, I didn't even think twice about it. So long story short, I had an appointment same week, maybe 2 days after that disastrous appointment in Conroe. This was just a quick 1 page, 1 signature, 1 date, no notarization. I got a phone call. It was actually from a referral. So it was not through a signing service. It was not through somebody that I've worked with before. It was a new client or it was a new person. I wouldn't even say client. It was just a new person that reached out to me based on one of the title companies that I work with. They needed me to sign a line of credit form for a man who had a reverse mortgage. He was trying to pull money out of his equity, his line of equity, or whatever. She did let me know that the guy was bedridden and that his daughter would be the one that I need to facilitate the transactions through. Um, what I didn't know is that the guy was like on his damn near deathbed, and so I had I had no intentions of bringing my son, but I had to bring my son due to babysitting issues. Like I thought I had a babysitter, and I went to go drop him off, and they're like, "Oh no, I'm sorry, I can't." So not a big deal. It's just 1 page, 1 signature, 1 date. I hate to bring him, but I mean, 1 signature, 1 date, 1 page. I should be in and out in like 3 minutes tops. Well, it didn't work out that way, of course. I get there, they don't have their IDs ready, so they have to look for the ID. And the daughter calls because she wasn't there. It was the caregiver and the guy. And remember, he's on like his deathbed. I did not realize that he was like dying. Or I mean, not dying, but you know, he's. I saw like the hospice paperwork, so I knew like he was going downhill pretty soon or pretty bad. But he was coherent or anything. It's not like he was out of it. He was very coherent. But it's just a really sad situation because I understand the daughter's point of view when she found out that I had to bring my son, and he started fussing because he woke up without his pacifier, and I was like, oh crap, I fucked up. Like this is not good. So the daughter, understandably, she was upset, but again, I run my business the way that I need to and I have to. It's not something that I do all the time. It's just something that I have to do here and there. And she would be the first person to complain. I've never had a complaint about me bringing my son to an appointment, and I know which ones I can and cannot bring him to. If it's a loan, obviously I'm not going to bring him to sign a whole loan packet. That would be, just no, we won't do that. If it's a signing service, because I still do stuff for signing services myself, no, I wouldn't bring them to a signing service because that's their brand and that's their reputation. I wouldn't do that to their brand or their reputation. But my own, it's my name. I can do what I need to do and want to do with my name. And I stand on that. Like, I felt horrible. I understand she's going through an emotional time, but she just proceeded to just cuss and like, I can't even repeat the conversation because I just zoned it out. Like, okay, well, I'm so sorry. I should have, called and made sure you have your IDs prepared. That way I would have been in and out in like 2 minutes. But unfortunately, since I did not do that, I had to like kind of stand there and take it. And again, I feel a little bad, but I have to do what I have to do, and that's just that. So, again, 2 appointments that went hostile in 1 week. That's a hostile appointment. And at no point did I ever feel threatened, violated. Did I ever feel like I was in danger, harm's way? No, she was just upset. And I'm kind of agree but disagree on whether or not I'm okay with her being upset like that. I feel bad that she's upset. I know she's an emotional. I did reach out to the loan officer, explained what happened, and the loan officer told me that she cusses her out every other day. So the daughter calls and cusses the loan officer out every other day. She's used to it. That's part of her personality. And on top of that, to add, the dad is literally on his deathbed. So she's extra high strung and emotional. It's just one of their problematic clients. I mean, I hate to say that she's problematic because before that she was nice. I mean, well, no, actually, anywho, long story short, I mean, it's just something I would think about again in the future if I ever had to bring my son on what type of appointments I have to bring him on and what type of, I just find a way. If I have to, I mean, my only option was to drop him off about 30 minutes away and just been 45 minutes to an hour late, which, she would have been upset about that too. So I just kind of chose the first option and went from there, and it wasn't probably the best one for her, but it is what it is. So again, back to my point, two hospital appointments in 1 week is very rare, but the difference is the other one was just emotionally upset. She threw a fit. It is what it is. The other appointment, I definitely felt threatened. I felt uncomfortable. Would I proceed to think that I needed to carry something to protect myself? Absolutely not. I knew for a fact that they weren't going to touch me. They wanted their money. Excuse me. So I just advise notaries to kind of think twice about the whole personal protection and whether or not they're too scared to go to people's houses, because these are very isolated incidents. It does not happen often. I think the last time and you will get some rude signers, so not every signer is going to be friendly. I've gotten some rude signers too, and you just kind of either get rude back in a professional way, of course, or you just kind of let it go. Like, they're having a bad day. I'm sorry you're upset, but here, what can I do to make this a little bit better for you? So those are your options, and it's always worked out for me. I don't think I've had a bad appointment, and I do mean like really bad appointment to where I just said forget this and left. I did that one time last year on the day of the inauguration. I remember it was January. I had to be about like 6 or 7 months pregnant, one of the two. And the man lived in a gated community, and this will be the last story, and I'll wrap it up. The man lived in a gated community, and he told me to call him when I got to the gate so he can buzz me in. No problem. So I get to the gate and there's a car in front of me. So I just follow behind the car in front of me. So when I get to the door, he's like, "Well, did you call so I can let you in?" And I told him, "No, there was a car in front of me. I just followed the car in front of me." And the man proceeded to lose his shit. I mean, he was yelling and telling me I needed to leave, go back out to the gate and call them so they can buzz me in. And it wasn't the instructions that threw me off. It was the fact that he was so angry and upset about it that threw me off. Like, wait, why are you this mad again? Like, I'm confused. Anyway, I was 6 or 7 months pregnant. I didn't appreciate his tone, how he was yelling at me. Like, he was damn near cussing me out, yelling at me. And I left and told him they needed to find another notary. Um, I think that was the only time I've ever not cared about somebody completing a transaction. I just no, I was not. I was not going to tolerate that day. And I've still done signings for that company. That was through a signing service. Yeah, I know, but that is a slight threatening, slight hostile situation that I was not going to tolerate. So, and that happened a year ago. And even then, I don't think that man was going to do anything to me. I think he was just having a bad day and a bad morning, and I didn't want to be part of it. He wasn't going to make my day or morning bad. So, um, yeah, most appointments are pretty much safe. You're not going to be in any intimate danger. You don't need to carry anything to protect yourself. And that was just my bizarre incident that happened. And oddly enough, I had two of them in 1 week. So um, follow me for more.